KP's Video News, y'all. It's KP's Video News, y'all. It's KP's Video News, y'all. It's KP's Video News, y'all.
KP's Video News, y'all. That's who it is. Yes, indeed. It's KP's Video News, and we're bringing you some news today, man. Breaking news. Breaking news. Democrats in the House on Friday pushed their more than $700 billion domestic policy package across the finish line, sending it to President Biden for his signature for their long-negotiated plan to address drug costs, raise taxes on large corporations, and combat global warming. Passages of the proposal, now by both chambers of Congress, marks the end of a long-fought effort by Democrats to approve legislation that addresses Mr. Biden's top domestic and economic priorities. While the package is a result of a compromise that yielded a measure more narrow than the initial sprawling social spending plan put forth by the president last year, its approval gives Democrats a crucial legislative win ahead of the November midterm elections. So, you know, it's a lot of things going on here, and that's just one of the things. So the bill got passed by the House today, and so I'm going to move on to the next story. All right, next breaking story here. Got the FBI search warrant shows Trump under investigation for potential obstruction of justice, Espionage Act violations. A search warrant reveals that the FBI is investigating Donald Trump for potential violations of the Espionage Act and obstruction of justice laws. Wow, that's pretty heavy right there. So they revealed, and they unsealed the search warrant on Friday today, and it reveals that the FBI is indeed investigating Donald Trump for potential violation of the Espionage Act, and he removed classified documents from the former president's Florida estate earlier this week. A receipt accompanying the search warrant, viewed in advance of its sealing, shows that Trump possessed documents, including the handwritten note, documents marked TS/SCI, which indicates one of the highest levels of government classifications, and another labeled Info, President of France. So not only did they have top secret documents for the United States, he also had top secret documents that were it was supposed to be going to the president of France some kind of way, some kind of communication that way. Also, among the items taken from Mar-a-Lago this week, an item labeled Executive Grant of Clemency for Roger Stone, in reference to one of those Trump's closest confidants who received a pardon in late 2020. The warrant shows federal law enforcement was investigating Trump for removal or destruction of records, obstruction of justice, and violating the Espionage Act, which can encompass crimes beyond spying, such as the refusal to return national security documents upon request. Conviction under the statutes can result in imprisonment or fines. The documents unsealed after the Justice Department sought their public disclosure amid relentless attacks by Trump and his GOP allies, underscore the extraordinary national security threat that federal investigators believe the missing documents presented. The concern grew so acute that Attorney General Merrick Garland approved the unprecedented search of Trump's estate last week. The disclosure of the documents comes 4 days after Trump publicly confirmed the court-authorized search of his Mar-a-Lago home by the FBI, marshaling his political allies to unleash fierce criticism of federal investigators, but the details in the warrant underscore the gravity of the probe. An unprecedented investigation of a former president for mishandling some of the nation's most sensitive secrets. Trump has claimed since Monday that he has cooperated with investigators from the National Archives and the FBI for months, and that the announced search warrant was unnecessary escalation. But after several rounds of negotiations in which materials were recovered by the archives, federal investigators came to believe Trump hadn't returned everything in his possession. The search warrant signed on August 5th by federal magistrate Judge Reinhardt revealed that dozens of items were seized, most of them described in vague terms like leather-bound box of documents, binder of photos, and handwritten note. Other items on the list indicate the presence of classified material, describing them as miscellaneous top secret documents and miscellaneous confidential documents. Wow. Stone's attorney Grant Smith said that the longtime Trump ally has no knowledge as to the facts surrounding his clemency documents appearing in the inventory of the items seized by former ex-President Trump's home at Mar-a-Lago. Shortly after 3 p.m., the Justice Department confirmed that Trump's lawyers would not oppose the public release of the search warrant and underlying receipt of materials, which had already begun to circulate widely. So all those lies he was telling, he had been subpoenaed for the paperwork, and he refused to turn it over. And then he did turn it over. He turned over a small amount of it. He didn't turn it all over. And they saw to the point of where the federal government had to actually go in and confiscate the paperwork because he would not release the paperwork. He would not release the documents. So they had no choice. They had to go in and take them. But he tried to twist it all up and say his house was raided and invaded and all this stuff, and he didn't know why. He knew why the whole time. He had been subpoenaed. So don't believe the hype, folks. Don't believe the lies and don't believe the hype. Okay, moving on to the next situation that Trump is in. He's in a lot of trouble. A judge denies Trump Organization and former CFO's motion to dismiss the tax fraud indictment. That's right. That is right. A New York State judge denied the Trump Organization and his former chief financial officer, Alan Weisselberg's motions to dismiss tax fraud charges during a hearing today. And Judge Juan Merchan said he would grant a hearing to hear arguments over whether statements Weisselberg made while in custody the day of his arrest on July 20, 2021 could be suppressed. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office did not oppose the hearing, but opposed the motion. Weisselberg and the Trump Organization were indicted last year on charges they were involved in a 15-year tax fraud scheme. 15 years. They both pleaded not guilty. The judge said jury selection would begin in the trial on October 24th. And the hearing is the first court appearance for Weisselberg and lawyers for the Trump Organization in nearly a year, and comes amid a dramatic week for former ex-President Donald Trump. The company was charged with 10 counts, and Weisselberg with a 15-count felony count in connection with an alleged scheme to stretch back all the way to 2005 to compensate Weisselberg and other Trump Organization executives in a manner that was off the books. Prosecutors moved to drop one charge against the company, saying it fell outside the statute of limitations, and the judge granted that motion. The alleged scheme, according to prosecutors, allowed Weisselberg to evade taxes on $1.76 million in income over a period beginning in 2005. Weisselberg is also accused of concealing his residency in New York City to avoid paying city income taxes. The judge set the next hearing in the case in September, and he said he would hear Weisselberg's argument to suppress statements he made while he was in custody for 8 hours after he was surrendered in July 2021. During that period, Weisselberg stated that he lived on Riverside Boulevard in Manhattan since 2005 and that his commute to Long Island was difficult. He also said the price of education was expensive. Prosecutors allege Westerberg hid his New York City residency and didn't pay taxes on benefits he received while working for the Trump Organization, including private school tuition for his grandchildren. So yeah, these guys, this whole onion is peeling back. This whole onion is peeling back, boy. Little by little, little by little, this whole thing is peeling back. And here's a guy here that the Muslim community have been trying to get him. And out of all the religious people on the planet, it seems like as though the Muslim people are the only ones that had enough sense to realize that this guy was dangerous. Anyway, Salman Rushdie, he was a best-selling author whose writing led to death threats, was attacked Friday as he was about to give a lecture in Western New York. New York police said a state trooper assigned to the event took a suspect into custody after the attack. Rushdie's condition was not immediately known, but if you don't know who Rushdie is, he's the author of Satanic Verses. Say that again. He's the author of Satanic Verses, and Muslims told him and they threatened him, do not release that book. Do not release the book. It's almost basically what it is it's like the devil's Bible. And the Muslim community was the only community out of all these so-called religious communities that were against this book being revealed and being released. So, let that sink in. Anyway, the New York police said that trooper was assigned, and he's alive. He's been transported, airlifted to safety, but he's an individual who has spent decades speaking, and someone who has been out there beside all the threats that have followed him his entire life. So, and rightfully so. So he witnessed a man bound toward the stage from the audience with his arms out swinging. So it said that he did not hear the man shout anything, and that Rushdie tried to get away from the attacker and fell. It was not apparent if the assailant had a weapon or where Stewart was, but police said the author suffered an apparent stab wound to the neck, and it's unsettling to everybody here. So I'm telling you now, folks, they've been trying to get him ever since he released this particular book. So Rushdie is the author of more than a dozen books, and of his 6 novels, the U.S. His book, The Satanic Verses, has been banned in Iran since the late 80s, and many Muslims considered it blasphemous. The book mocked, or at least contained mocking references to the Prophet Muhammad and other aspects of Islam, in addition to a character clearly based on the supreme leader of Iran. After the book was published, Iran's leader, the Ayatollah Khomeini, issued a fatwa or edict calling for Rushdie's death. Iran's government has long since distanced itself from Khomeini's decree, but anti-Rushdie sentiment lingered. And in 2012, a semi-official Iranian religious foundation raised the bounty for Rushdie from $2.8 million to $3.3 million. So they have a $3.3 million bounty on Salman Rushdie's head. It is not clear whether Friday's attack had any connection to the edict. And so, they've been trying, like I said, they've been trying to get him for a long time. Since 1980, they've been trying to get this guy. And they even raised the amount of money in 2012 from $2.8 million to $3.3 million. Wow. I'm telling you, man. I wonder, you got all these devil worshipers out here, I'm quite sure Trump got a copy of the Satanic Verses. Anyway, On to the next story. We got Heche, TV film actor and stage actor, died today at age 53 years old from an injury from a car crash that she sustained in L.A. and her son Homer confirmed her death. So, wow. She had a bad car accident where a car went out of control and crashed into the side of a house that other day. She's been basically been in a coma, since then, and so it was stated that she had cocaine and alleged that she had cocaine and fentanyl in her system. She crashed her car into the side of people's house there, and so I'm telling you, man, it was a situation. So okay, here's the situation. She crashed her car into a Mar Vista home, which then caught on fire. After the crash, Heche was rushed to Los Angeles hospital in critical condition, and she was declared brain dead Thursday night, but was kept on life support for possible organ donation. She suffered significant burns in the crash, and on Thursday, a spokesperson for the Los Angeles Police Department confirmed that a blood test showed Heche was under the influence of narcotics at the time, and another law enforcement source stated that Heche's initial blood test showed cocaine in her system. Before Heche died, the LAPD was planning to administer a second blood test to rule out hospital treatments as a reason for fentanyl showing up in her initial screen. Shortly after the crash, Heche fell into a coma with major injury that required her to be put on medical ventilation. I'm like, wow, that's something, man. That is really something. Wow. I'm telling you, man, it's so what was she on? What TV show was she on? In the late 1980s, she got her break with the dual role on the long-running NBC soap opera Another World, and by 1991, she won a Daytime Emmy for her acclaimed work as Vicky Hudson and Marlo Love on the show. So she played two different people on the same show. Wow. Wonder how that happens. She was also in the movie Donnie Brasco, Volcano, I Know What You Did Last Summer, 6 Days, 7 Nights, Return to Paradise, and John Q in 2002. Wow. She had, that's just a few of the things. Anyway, next story. LeBron James is in line to be the owner of the Las Vegas expansion franchise. It says LeBron James is apparently in position to be the owner of the Las Vegas NBA expansion franchise when Las Vegas and Seattle, which I'm told is going to happen as soon as the next TV deals are in place, that those franchises are going to be added to the equation, which is a whole lot of repercussions, including the timing of when LeBron James decides to step aside as a player and become an owner. Wow. Okay. So, it's a possibility that LeBron James could become an owner of a NBA team in Las Vegas. All right. So on to the next guy. It's going to be the last story of the day. It said, it's a black man behind your favorite tequila brand. So John Basil Tequila, a Chicago-based black millennial-owned tequila company, is shaking up the spirits industry. The global tequila market itself reached a value of $13 billion in 2021, making it the United States' most purchased spirit. So people drinking tequila like crazy. So with so much money to be made, it's no surprise that black people have launched their own spirits and wine brands in record numbers. Founded in 2018 by Udoma Umolu a child of immigrant parents from Ghana, he developed a passion for the spirits early on and recognized immediately that there's a lack of black representation in the spirits industry. Following an inspirational visit to Jalisco, Mexico, he decided to collaborate with his business partner, Before Teher, to create a high-end premium tequila that is proudly powered and designed by young millennial creators. While the brand has amassed a dedicated customer base with over 350 locations statewide in Illinois, the pair shortly started distributing in other states and after securing deals with Walmart and Benny's. In an interview, Umolu shares the challenges of bootstrapping a spirits brand, the inspiration behind John Basile, and the value of partnerships in business. So he got their tequila out there. Got their tequila out there, man. A young black guy, man. Wow, it's amazing. John Basile Tequila. That's Basil, B-A-S-I-L. John Basil Tequila. I want 2 shots of tequila. Okay, gotta get some tequila. Hello, my friend. Can I have 2 shots of tequila? Ah, man, I got that from Key and Peele. One of their skits. Oh, man. Anyway, gotta have a little fun with it, folks. You know who it is. Yep.
KP's Video News, y'all. It's KP's Video News, y'all.
You know who it is, y'all?
It's KP's Video News, y'all. It's KP's
You know
Video
who it is?
News, y'all.
Yep. That's right.
KP's Video News, y'all. It's KP's Video News, y'all.